My stepmom took every dollar I earned to fund her son's dreams. Now I'm a self-made billionaire and he's the one standing outside my office building with a resume. If this story has your heart already, take 1 second to subscribe. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from so we can welcome you properly. I was 16 when I opened my first bank account, clutching $300 from my summer job at Morrison's Diner. My stepmom Pauline intercepted me at the door. "Miranda, baby, we need to talk about your money." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She'd married my father 2 years after my mother's death, bringing her son Boyd into our Baltimore row house. Boyd was 18, charming, and according to Pauline, destined for greatness. I was just the grieving daughter in the way. "Your daddy and I think it's best if I manage your earnings," she said, fingers already reaching for my envelope. "You're young. You don't understand financial responsibility yet." My father stood behind her, silent. He'd been silent a lot since Mom died. "But I earned this," I whispered, pulling back. The words felt dangerous in my mouth. Pauline's expression hardened. "Boyd got accepted to Morehouse College. Do you know how expensive that is? This family has to make sacrifices. Your mother would have understood putting family first." She weaponized my mother's memory like she always did, and I watched my father flinch. "Now hand it over, Miranda. Don't be selfish." My fingers trembled as I surrendered those bills. Boyd smirked from the staircase, his Howard University hoodie pristine. I'd already been wearing the same 3 outfits to school for months. That night, I heard them celebrating downstairs, Pauline's laughter echoing through the vents. I pressed my pillow over my ears and swore I'd remember this feeling. For the next 2 years, every dollar I earned disappeared into Pauline's purse. I worked double shifts at Morrison's, took weekend gigs babysitting the Henderson twins, even sold my artwork at the Inner Harbor Marketplace. Boyd needs new textbooks. Boyd is joining a fraternity. Boyd has a networking event. Always Boyd. My father became a ghost in his own house, working overtime at the port while Pauline orchestrated her son's ascent. I started hiding $20 here, $10 there, tucking cash inside my mother's old books that no one touched anymore. One December evening I came home with $450 from a catering gig. I'd worked 12 hours, my feet screaming in borrowed dress shoes. Pauline was waiting at the kitchen table, Boyd beside her. "Miranda, sit down." Her tone made my stomach drop. Boyd got an internship opportunity in New York. Unpaid but prestigious. He needs money for rent and expenses. "That's my college fund," I said, my voice cracking. I'd been secretly applying to schools, dreaming of Howard, of anywhere away from this house. Boyd finally spoke, his voice smooth as honey. "Come on, sis. I'm the one who's actually going somewhere. You'll probably just end up pregnant anyway, like most girls from this neighborhood." Pauline didn't correct him. My father wasn't even home to witness it. I handed over the money, watching my dreams evaporate in Pauline's perfectly manicured hands. Senior year arrived, and with it my acceptance letter to Morgan State University with a partial scholarship. I needed $3,000 for remaining tuition and housing. I'd been saving obsessively, working until my hands cracked and bled, hiding money in places I thought were safe. I checked my secret stash the night before the deposit deadline. Gone. Every single dollar. I found Pauline in Boyd's old room, now converted to her meditation space, sipping wine and scrolling through her phone. "Where is it?" My voice didn't sound like mine anymore. Sounded like breaking glass. "Where's what, baby?" She didn't even look up. "The $2,800 I saved. It was in my mother's jewelry box." She finally met my eyes and I saw something cruel there. Boyd needed it for his startup idea. He's developing an app. This could make our family wealthy, Miranda. Stop being so short-sighted. That was mine. I screamed. My father appeared in the doorway, and for one desperate moment, I thought he'd defend me. Dad, tell her. Tell her she can't keep doing this. He looked at me with tired, defeated eyes. Miranda, baby girl, Boyd is trying to build something. You can take a gap year, work more, save up again. I've been working since I was 14. Tears streamed down my face. When is it my turn? When do I matter? Pauline stood, her voice ice. You matter when you contribute something valuable to this family. Now either get on board or get out. The ultimatum hung between us like poison gas, and I realized I'd been drowning in this house for years. I left that night with a duffel bag, $200 I'd hidden in my school locker, and my mother's wedding ring, the only thing Pauline hadn't discovered. Mrs. Wilson, my AP English teacher, let me sleep on her couch while I figured things out. My niece has a room for rent in her apartment, she said the third morning, handing me coffee. It's in Fells Point. $300 a month if you help with utilities and don't mind her cat. The apartment was tiny, but it was mine. My roommate, Jazz, was a nursing student at University of Maryland who'd also escaped a toxic family situation. We understood each other without lengthy explanations. I deferred my Morgan State acceptance and took every job I could find. Waitressing at 2 restaurants, cleaning offices at night, tutoring kids in math on weekends. I slept 4 hours a night and studied during my breaks. Mrs. Wilson helped me apply for scholarships I'd never heard of, and slowly, painfully, I built a foundation. 6 months later, my father called. Baby girl, please come home. Pauline says she's sorry. Boyd is doing well and we miss you. Does she have my money? I asked, my voice flat. Silence. Then, she spent it on Boyd's business venture. But Miranda, he's family. I hung up. Jazz found me crying in our bathroom, the phone still clutched in my hand. They don't deserve you, she said fiercely, pulling me into a hug. You're going to be something amazing. I feel it. At 19, I enrolled in community college for computer science, paying cash for each class. During a late shift at the coffee shop near Johns Hopkins, I overheard 2 graduate students discussing machine learning algorithms. Something clicked. I started teaching myself to code using free online resources, staying up until dawn practicing Python and JavaScript. My manager, an older woman named Patricia, noticed my laptop always open during breaks. You're hungry, she observed. Not for food. For something more. I want to build something, I admitted. Something that matters. She studied me with sharp eyes. My son works at a tech incubator downtown. They're looking for interns. The pay is terrible, but you'd learn. The incubator was chaos. Brilliant, caffeinated chaos. I was the youngest person there by 4 years, the only one without a degree, and I worked harder than anyone else combined. I absorbed everything like a sponge, staying late to help senior developers debug code, asking questions until I understood not just how but why. My mentor, Bernard Jones, saw something in me. You think differently, he said after I solved a problem that had stumped his team for weeks. You see patterns others miss. That night I had an idea. A real one. I pulled out my mother's old notebook and started sketching. What if there was a platform that connected low-income students with micro-scholarships and part-time work opportunities, using AI to match their skills with needs? I'd lived this problem. I knew exactly what was missing. 3 months later, I pitched it to Bernard. Bernard didn't just like my idea, he loved it. This solves a real problem, he said, leaning forward in his chair. But you need funding. You need a team. You need... He paused, studying me. You need to believe you deserve this. His words cut through years of Pauline's poison. I did deserve this. I'd earned it in blood, sweat, and stolen dreams. We launched EduBridge as a pilot program with 3 Baltimore schools, working out of Bernard's garage. I was 20 years old, terrified and more alive than I'd ever felt. The platform worked. Students found opportunities. Employers found motivated workers. Within 6 months we had 5,000 users. Within a year 50,000. I lived on ramen and determination, coding until my eyes crossed, pitching to investors who looked through me like I was invisible. "You're too young," one venture capitalist said dismissively. "Come back when you have a real team." I built a real team. Jazz joined as our operations manager after graduating nursing school. She'd found her calling in organizational systems, not bedside care. We hired 3 developers, all from communities like ours, all hungry and brilliant. The day we secured our first $1 million investment, I called my father. "Dad, I need you to know something." "Okay. I'm more than okay. I built something without any of you." His voice broke. "Miranda, baby girl, I'm so proud." "Are you?" I interrupted. "Were you proud when Pauline took everything from me? When Boyd called me worthless? Where was this pride then?" He had no answer, and I realized I didn't need one anymore. At 23, EduBridge had 2 million users across 30 states and was valued at $50 million. I'd been featured in Forbes, TechCrunch, and the Baltimore Sun. My face was on billboards downtown, advertising our latest expansion. I wore custom suits now, my hair styled professionally, but I never forgot the girl who'd counted nickels for bus fare. Jazz was my COO, and Bernard had become our chief technology officer and my closest friend. We'd survived failed launches, investor betrayals, and sleepless nights that tested our sanity. Then Boyd called. Not my father, Boyd himself. "Miranda? Hey sis. Long time, right?" His voice still had that smooth quality, but something underneath sounded desperate. "Look, I heard about your success. That's amazing. Really amazing. I always knew you had potential." I said nothing, letting him fill the silence. "So, I'm actually working on this new venture and I thought maybe we could collaborate. I mean, we're family. Blood is thicker than water, right?" "Boyd," I said calmly, "the full phrase is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means chosen bonds are stronger than family ties. You chose to call me worthless. I choose to remember that. Wait, Miranda, please." I hung up and blocked his number. Jazz raised her wine glass in salute. Ice cold. "I love it." But the contact unsettled me. How did he get my private number? What did he really want? And why did a small wounded part of me still care what any of them thought? I hired a private investigator. Not because I was paranoid, but because I was strategic. If Boyd was reaching out, Pauline was orchestrating it, and I needed to know why. The report arrived a week later, and it was devastating in its clarity. Boyd's app venture, the one funded by my stolen college money, had failed spectacularly, leaving him $60,000 in debt. He'd bounced between startup ideas for years, each one collapsing faster than the last. He was currently unemployed, living in Pauline's basement, exactly where he'd started. Pauline had been posting about my success on Facebook, tagging me in articles about EduBridge, claiming motherly pride to anyone who'd listen. "So proud of my stepdaughter," her posts gushed. "Always knew she was special." The comments from her friends made my stomach turn. She was rewriting history in real time, positioning herself as my supportive mother figure. My father had stayed silent through all of it, neither defending Pauline's lies nor correcting them. The PI included something else: bankruptcy filings. Pauline and my father were drowning in debt. The house had a second mortgage. Credit cards maxed out. All those years of funding Boyd's dreams had left them broke. I stared at the documents spread across my desk, feeling nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Just a cold, empty recognition that karma was thorough. Jazz leaned against my doorframe. What are you thinking? I'm thinking they're about to lose everything, I said softly. And I'm thinking I should feel something about that. 3 months later, I was in my corner office on the 30th floor of Baltimore's newest skyscraper, reviewing acquisition proposals, when my assistant buzzed me. Ms. Williams, there's a Boyd Thompson here. He says he's family. He doesn't have an appointment, but he's insisting. My heart rate didn't even spike. I'd been preparing for this moment since the PI's report. Send him away, I said. No appointment, no meeting. Company policy. Through my office window, which overlooked the building's entrance plaza, I watched him appear 30 minutes later. Boyd stood on the sidewalk staring up at my building like it was Mount Everest. He was thinner than I remembered, his clothes cheaper, his posture defeated. He held a folder, probably his resume. He stood there for 4 hours. I watched between meetings, fascinated by his persistence. He approached employees leaving for lunch, trying to hand them his folder. Security eventually moved him to the public sidewalk across the street, where he continued his vigil. By evening he was sitting on the curb, head in his hands. My assistant appeared with my coat. That man is still out there. Should I call the police? No, I said. Let him sit. He'll leave eventually. But he didn't. For 3 days, Boyd appeared outside my building, resume in hand, trying to intercept anyone he thought might carry his plea to me. Employees started talking. Social media picked it up. Man camps outside Texio's office begging for job. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Jess found me watching from my window on day 4. You going to talk to him? What would I say? I finally agreed to see him on day 5, not out of mercy, but because his presence was becoming a distraction. My PR team was fielding questions. I had him brought to a small conference room, not my office. He needed to understand the hierarchy. Boyd looked worse up close. Dark circles under his eyes, a nervous energy I'd never seen before. Miranda, he started, but I held up my hand. Mr. Thompson, I said formally, I'm told you've been requesting a meeting. You have 10 minutes. He flinched at the surname usage. I wanted to apologize. For everything. The things I said when we were younger, the way Mom, Pauline, treated you. I was wrong. I was so wrong. His voice cracked. I'm not asking for charity. I have a degree from Morehouse. I have experience. I'm a hard worker. Are you? I interrupted, pulling out the PI's report. Because according to this, you've had 6 jobs in 5 years. You've started 4 companies that failed within months. You've never held a position longer than 14 months. I watched the color drain from his face. You want to know what hard work looks like, Boyd? It looks like working 3 jobs at 16. It looks like coding until your eyes bleed because you can't afford to fail. It looks like building something from nothing while everyone tells you you're worthless. I know, he whispered. I know I don't deserve. You're right. You don't. I stood up. But let me explain something about EduBridge. We hire people from broken places. People who've been overlooked, underfunded, told they weren't enough. We hire people who are hungry. I paused. You've never been hungry a day in your life, Boyd. Boyd didn't leave. He sat there, tears streaming down his face, and for the first time he told the truth. Mom pushed me into everything, he said quietly. The college I didn't want to attend. The internships that made me miserable. The business ventures I knew would fail. She lived through me and I let her because it was easier than disappointing her. I watched what she did to you and I said nothing because I was a coward. He looked up, meeting my eyes. The worst part? I was jealous. You actually wanted the things you worked for. You had passion. Purpose. I just had her expectations crushing me. That's not an excuse, I said, but something in my voice softened despite myself. I know. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance to prove I'm more than what she made me. He pushed his resume across the table. Put me in your mailroom. Your janitorial staff. I don't care. I need to learn what you learned. How to build something real. I picked up his resume, scanning it. It was professionally done, impressively empty. Where's Pauline now? I asked. At home, probably coaching Dad on how to approach you. He sent me here, Miranda. She thinks you'll cave because we're family. She's planning her victory party right now, telling neighbors how her successful stepdaughter is finally helping her poor brother. His laugh was bitter. She doesn't understand that you don't owe us anything. That you never did. I studied him, this broken version of the golden boy who'd haunted my adolescence. Do you really want to work, Boyd? Or do you want absolution? Both, he admitted. But I'll settle for the first and earn the second. I made Boyd an offer. You want to work for EDU Bridge? Fine. But not here. Not in this building where everyone knows you're my stepbrother. I pulled out a tablet showing him a map. We're opening a new community center in West Baltimore, the neighborhood where I grew up. It'll provide free coding classes, job training, and mentorship. You'll manage it. $40,000 a year salary, less than our entry-level positions. You'll work directly with kids who remind you of what I was. Kids whose families steal their dreams. I watched his face carefully. You'll report to Jazz, not me. You'll be evaluated quarterly. One mistake, one hint of entitlement, and you're gone. Do you understand? He nodded, speechless. And Boyd? Pauline can never know where you work or what you do. This isn't about her redemption story. This is about yours. I stood, signaling the meeting's end. You start Monday. 6 a.m. We're something you don't mind getting dirty. We're still renovating the space. After he left, Jazz appeared in my doorway. You're soft, she said, but she was smiling. Maybe, I admitted. Or maybe I'm giving him the chance no one gave me, to prove himself without her poison in his ear. And if he fails? Then he fails honestly, and I'll have no regrets. I turned back to my window, watching Boyd walk away with actual purpose in his step for the first time I could remember. Besides, those kids deserve someone who understands what it's like to disappoint the people who claim to love you. Jazz squeezed my shoulder. Your mother would be proud. I let myself believe it. 6 months later, Boyd was thriving. The community center was exceeding projections, serving 200 students. He worked 80-hour weeks without complaint, slept on an air mattress in a studio apartment in the same neighborhood where I'd once counted nickels, and slowly, painfully became someone real. We didn't talk often. Our relationship was professional, distant, but I saw the reports. The kids loved him. He showed up. He delivered. My father finally reached out, not to ask for money but to say thank you. I know I failed you, Miranda. Every single day. But maybe I can still do right by trying to help Boyd find his way back. We met for coffee, our first meal together in 7 years. He'd aged, his face lined with regret. Pauline and I are divorcing, he said quietly. I'm moving to a small place in Catonsville. Starting over. He paused. I can't undo what I allowed her to do to you, but I want you to know, your mother would have fought me. She would have protected you. I dishonored her memory every day I stayed silent. I reached across the table, touching his hand. I forgive you, Dad. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. Tears filled his eyes. You're stronger than both of us ever were. Last week, EDU Bridge went public. The company is now valued at $800 million, and I'm 26 years old. Boyd still manages our community center, refusing promotions, finding his purpose in second chances. Jazz is living her best life as COO, dating a surgeon she met at a company mixer. Bernard became a multimillionaire through his equity stake and started 3 new ventures. Me. I bought the row house where I grew up, not to live in but to convert into a scholarship foundation headquarters. Every year we'll fund 50 students who've had their dreams stolen by family members. We'll call it the Miranda Williams Foundation for Resilient Futures. Pauline sent a letter to my office. My assistant intercepted it. I threw it away unread. Some stories don't need endings. They need boundaries. I stood in that empty row house last Tuesday, in the bedroom where I once cried into my pillow, and I felt my mother's presence like warm sunlight. I made it, Mom, I whispered. I made it without them and I made it matter. Outside my office window, Baltimore sparkled in the evening light. My city. My empire. My terms. And somewhere out in West Baltimore, a kid who reminded me of my younger self was learning to code, dreaming impossible dreams and believing they might just come true. That's legacy. That's justice. That's enough.